How are you this morning? This afternoon, I should say. All right. It's going to be a cozy session. We're not a lot here today. All right. So welcome to this breakout session about the Adobe Experience Platform. You heard it correctly. So there was a typo in the title. It said the Adobe Marketing Cloud. But the thing is, it's the same thing. We're going to be talking about the Adobe technology and how you can advance experience business together, meaning with CDM, Microsoft, and XDM of Adobe. My name is Matthew Hanouz. I'm a senior evangelist at Adobe, and my job is really to explain the value proposition of the Adobe software stack, but also how, with Microsoft, we can blend our technology to power those beautiful, personalized, and real-time experiences. So you may have heard during the keynote session of Satya that we do have now an open data initiative between Adobe, between Microsoft, and SAP. And I'm going to talk about that later during this presentation. But keep in mind that every time I talk about CDM or XDM, that's going to be part of the Open Data Initiative that we're going to be talking about. The promise of this Open Data Initiative is for brands to access data faster, to gain more insight faster under a unique umbrella, which is probably a common data model. But again, we're going to talk about that. So I don't know, by show of hands, who here in the room is a marketer or working in a marketing department? All right, great. What about the others? Are you in IT? Show of hands. Great. So we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about how we merge IT functions and marketing functions and go way beyond, because every time a brand talks or engages with a consumer, it goes beyond these two entities within the organization. It can include services, it can include fulfillment, all these great things that are included in a company that ultimately engages with consumers. So the job of Adobe is really to help marketers and going beyond marketing to guide you with software and solutions to create those beautiful and personalized customer experiences. And our objective and our strategy is really to change the world through digital experiences. What does it mean? It means that every one of us, we're all consumers, we're all individuals. And also, if we have a company to run, or you're part, obviously, of a company, we do have a chance to engage with consumers or to design beautiful assets to express ourselves. So our job at Adobe is not only to change the world to the digital experiences, but to empower you, consumers or businesses, to tell those beautiful stories and experiences. So the idea behind the experience goes beyond channels. So I work at Adobe, you work in your own organization, but ultimately what you want to do is engage with consumers and delight them at every turn. The way you do that, you have different channels, whether you acquire them through social media or by advertising campaigns or directly on your digital properties. It can be a website, a mobile app, if you have stores, that's going to be there, offline using POS systems, call center. It can be a variety of different channels that you can use to engage with your consumers. However, consumers don't pay attention to channels. They are interested in your product and services that you do offer. And I bet that a year from now, if you buy something, a year from now, you are not going to remember which channel you use to change your cell phone plan, or refinance your mortgage, or buy a skincare. You won't remember which channel you got an offer that ultimately led you to buying that solution or that product or service. However, I bet that you will all remember if it was a great experience with a brand or a bad one. So this is what we mean by creating experiences, because that great experience or that bad experience transcends channels. A great experience is an experience where you engage with a brand and you actually don't understand or don't remember which channel you hit that brand. It is all consistent across the board. And there are really great brands that do that today. So that's the reason why it is important to say that actually we, consumers, don't, even though we buy products, we actually buy experiences for brands that we trust or that we want to put our trust on. So this is really something important because everything that we're going to show is going to highlight how you can get to creating those beautiful, real-time, and consistent experiences. So we call that at Adobe the experience system of record. How we can merge data, how we can pull together all the content that you have within the enterprise to make sure that every time you engage with a consumer, it is not only beautiful, consistent, personalized, and consistent across different channels and different properties. So that's what we mean by experience system of record. So the foundation of what we do is called the Experience Cloud, and I'm going to show that to you in action. So before I tell you specifically about an experience, my talk, we have 75 minutes, I'm going to show you some slides just to set the stage on what we do, the relationship that we have with Microsoft, but I really want to show you the technology in action. So I have 3 sets of demos where we're going to see how the Experience Cloud works with Microsoft on Azure, how we can use XDM and CDM together, and ultimately how we can create those experiences. And I will show you the UI and forthcoming version of the Experience platform. But for now, let's talk about one example of an experience. So this is a person, a young lady called Melissa. So she's going to be playing the role of a consumer, and she is actually ready to celebrate her birthday, let's say. And she wants to go to New York with her girlfriends to celebrate her birthday. So what she does is she's going to engage with a brand, a hotel brand, to start booking her room. All right? So think of you being here, Orlando, and how was your hotel reservation or hotel experience? But in her case, Melissa, what she's going to do, well, for example, she's mobile. Therefore, she's going to use her phone in order to look for the hotel room that she wants to book. And she looks at the Mave New York City Hotel. Great. And within the app, she's going to book her trip. She's going to book one night to stay there at the Mave New York City. Simple transaction, pretty straightforward. However, we all know what's going on behind the scenes. We need to identify her as a consumer. Maybe she's a returning customer. Maybe she's a net new customer. So we have to treat her differently, whether she's a prospect or a new customer. And not only we have to understand who she is on her mobile, but maybe she is continuing that transaction on the website. So you have to make sure that you understand her across the board, across different channels. In this case, you have to understand her through the mobile, and you have to make that the e-commerce part of that experience, and even inform the fulfillment system that you have to actually secure the room that she just bought. All right, so she just booked her one-night hotel room at the Mave, New York City. Perfect. Then fast forward, we're going to send her, let's say that we are the hotel chain. So we're going to send her a notification or even an email to inform her that she can check in because we're, let's say, 24 hours prior to her arrival. Pretty standard, right? We all have that experience. So sending that email or a push notification to actually tell her that her room is pretty much ready, we confirm that to her, and she is good to go. Now, as she walks into the lobby of the hotel, what you can do, if you're Marriott, if you're an SPG property or other properties, then in their case, and this is what we're highlighting here, they send you a push notification because you are around the property. And they can ask you whether you want to cut the line, have directly your key shipped to your phone so you can skip that line, go directly to your room, and actually open the room directly with your phone, which happened to me during this day, which is really cool. But this is an opportunity for the brand to say, hey, welcome to New York, welcome to the digital property, and here's an opportunity to upsell this customer. And in this case, we say that she can extend her stay with a complimentary ticket to see an exhibition. How did we know that? It's really up to you how you want to determine that. But there can be a lot of scores happening in the background that you actually have because you asked her for her preferences. Or you can buy third-party data or second-party data to actually understand exactly what she is interested into, therefore to personalize even further her experience in New York. Great. Now, as she skips the line, she opens her door with her phone because we shipped her the digital key on her phone. What about the screen? The screen, actually, when I go to my hotel tonight, there's my name there, but this is actually an opportunity for the brand to continue to sustain that engagement that we have with her and to probably inform her, not always about upselling, but informing her about the different offers that you have or different services, complimentary or not, that you might have, that you want to use the screen for that matter. You have devices or Amazon Echo or other devices that you can actually use to enhance the customer experience at that moment in time. So this is an example of a customer journey where across all the different touch points, whether it's on the mobile app, on the website, at the property, on the screen, you can create an experience, an engaging experience, but the key here is to understand that this is who you're talking to. I hate when I call my airline company from the app and they tell me, who are you? You have to identify yourself. You already know that. I called you directly from the app, so you should know that. I really hate when I have to rehash exactly what I told the agent only to be bounced to another department. So think of you as a consumer, what you will love to have from a brand, and try to mimic that behavior and even enhancing the customer experience, in your case, in your organization. So this is just one example of a customer journey, but here the point is to make sure that we are collectively connecting the dots between all these different channels and ultimately delivering a great experience to our consumers. So how do we do that? And how can we work with Microsoft to power those personalized and real-time experiences? Here, what we call that as the Experience Maker Challenge, because we believe that all of us are experience makers. Whether you work in IT, services, or marketing or sales, you are actually contributing to a great experience that will be delivered to your consumers. So by that, we all tend to call ourselves experience makers. So these are some of the challenges that we find that brands are struggling with when it comes to creating that customer experience. And I don't think it's going to be a surprise to you. So let's review that together. First, unable to gain a single 360 customer view. This has been a challenge for a long time, for decades. We're all trying to figure it out and how to create that 360 marketing view or the customer view, which has marketing data, but also sales data, services data, fulfillment data, all within one place to better understand the different interactions that you had with consumers. It is a hard challenge, and hopefully the Open Data Initiative will accelerate solving this problem. Second one is the inability to drive insights. If, let's say, we all have this great data in one place, but then what do we do with this data? Because we're dealing with a massive amount of data, because the world is hyper-connected, and because we need to deliver that customer experience in real time, within seconds, there's no way we can scale our business if we're not using machine learning and artificial intelligence. It is just a fact. So how can we make sure that all this data can be used to extract insight in real time and inform the other systems within the enterprise? So that's the second challenge that we're trying to solve. The third one is actually delivering that experience in real time. Because as much as you have data sitting in, let's say, one place, if you can extract this insight, that's great. But the insight that you got yesterday is not the same insight that you should have right now, because the customer is on the phone, because the customer went on the website yesterday, and since yesterday, they went on the mobile app, they called you in real time, they are already in the property. So that insight that you had yesterday is no longer valid. Not only we want data, but we want fresh data that we can extract knowledge and insight right away. It gets really complicated. The other one is a classic one. It's very easy, well, I mean, it's not that easy, but let's say that it's easy to map all this great data that we have from customers if they are authenticated. If I have them in the CRM, I know her name, Melissa, I know exactly what she's looking for, I know exactly what she booked. But what if we want to collect data way before she authenticated? Well, that's going to be challenging because I don't have her in the CRM, I don't have her there. Or maybe I have her, but I still don't know that's her because she's using a new device, or because she is using a different computer that maybe there are no cookies in there. So we need to find a way to merge authenticated, known and unknown data all together to extract better insight from our customers. And the reality is, even though I'm talking on behalf of Adobe, we understand that you have a stack of technology that might include Adobe software, but what about the rest of the ecosystem? You may have, well, you obviously have a lot of Microsoft software there, but you have probably SAP, you have probably vendors that are overlapping with some of the things that we do provide at Adobe. So we understand that you're using other technology, so we need to make sure that not only we are empowering you to create those beautiful experiences, but we need to provide you with an open environment so you can pull data from other systems, whether they compete with ours or not. That's not the game. The game is for you to be successful in the way you engage with your consumers. So these are some of the challenges that we see here happening. So I'm going to talk a lot about the Adobe stack. The most important part is the Adobe Experience Platform. And the promise of the platform is to put together, to centralize and standardize two different things, content and data, all together to create that 360 customer view beyond marketing, to enable you to understand your consumers, but also enable data science, data governance, which is really important that I'm going to talk about during the demo. And the purpose is really to engage with the consumers in real time, and please do it in a personalized way. So that's the holy grail that we really want to achieve, and hopefully the Adobe Experience Platform vision can achieve that. So the way we're going to do that, it is all based on Microsoft Azure. So everything that I'm going to be talking about is all based on Microsoft Azure. So depending on what breakout session you attended, but some of the services of Azure will be highlighted in our platform. Why? Because we use their technology and we use their services to power those great experiences within the Adobe Experience Platform. So first one of them that is actually a service from Microsoft Azure is the data pipeline. So we want to make sure that you can ingest data into the Adobe Experience Platform through a Microsoft Azure stack, in whether it's in batch or whether it's streamed. We all know that Azure provides those two streams, those ways, to ingest data. And this is something that we are using to ingest data directly into the Adobe Experience Platform. Second is, once we have data, we need to give this data semantic and control and meaning. And this is where we're going to talk specifically about XDM. And why not extend that conversation to CDM and what it means when it comes to the Open Data Initiative. Okay, well, I ingest data. Now I have this data within a data lake of Microsoft Azure, and then I'm going to give it semantics and control. And we're going to be specific on what we mean by that. Then what we can do is actually create and look for insights, business-driven insights. And that's going to be a stack that Azure has, but also some of the features that we have within the Experience Platform. But the end goal is the action. How can I use this data to act and to power those great experiences, to send that push notification to Melissa because she's around the property, or to know that she is interested in that exhibition? Why not pull that offer and display that offer directly on her screen in her room? So these are the kind of things that you can do based on the knowledge that you have from your consumers, Melissa in this case, and how you can act in real time or not across all these different channels. So these are the four main components of the Adobe Experience Platform. Now, let's get into more details. So we have 3 different logos here. Let's run a test. Can you name some of the product and solutions of Adobe? I usually ask this question to my cab driver. Every time I get a different answer. So who can mention a product from Adobe? Wow, great. That's amazing. You all told me about specific products from the Experience Cloud, which is not common because I don't know if it's a thing with cab drivers, but they tell me PDF, Acrobat, Photoshop, which is great. So this is what we've been doing for 35 years, and these are all the solutions that we have in what we call the Creative Cloud. But to your point, all the solutions that you pointed out are part of the Experience Cloud in the center right there, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about because it's a set of solutions, integrated solutions that will power you, marketers and beyond marketing, to create those experiences that we saw with Melissa. On the right-hand side, you have the Acrobat and the Document Cloud logo, and this is a separate business that we have, is to understand your processes in creating, sharing, and collaborating on documents across the enterprise. So today, we're going to use this as a way to mention that at the core of these 3 logos, the 3 clouds, Creative Cloud, Experience Cloud, and the Document Cloud, there's this Adobe Experience platform that will power pretty much everything. And this is a very important graphic that we have, and we launched at our user conference at Summit last March. And it is all about data and content and how you can action on both of them. I usually tell marketers or experience makers that it takes 3 things to make a great campaign. 3 things. Data. You have to understand who I am as a consumer. Without data, there's no way you're going to be personalized to me because you still have no idea who I am. So data is the fuel of a great customer experience. Once you have data, then we're going to move to the second part, which is content. What is the story that you're going to try to tell me? What is the best offer that represents exactly what I need from you? So that story is made from content. And content is going to be key in creating those stories. Without content, you don't have a story. And if you don't have a story, you actually don't have an experience. First, data, know me. Content, what is the story that you're going to tell me? And execution, how are you going to tell me that story? I love emails. So that would be probably the best channel for you to engage with me. But right now, I'm not checking my emails. It could be a screen that you can use. It can be a push notification. It can be the point of sale because I don't have my phone. Who does that? But it can be a variety of things. Or it can be all the above in a very sequential way. Maybe today it's all about email, but if you think that I'm not opening my emails, then try to engage with me through a different channel. So you need to understand how to sequence all these channels, but the end goal is to delight me as a consumer. So again, 3 things: data, know me; content, what is the story; and execution, how you're going to tell that story. So we're going to deep dive a little bit on that. So the data pipeline is one of the components of the Experience platform. Within the data pipeline, the whole process is to bring data in, to ingest data in. So we do that in 4 different ways. Obviously, we have our own solutions of the Experience Cloud, Target, Analytics, Campaign, that will ship their data directly into the data lake. So that's going to be one part of the equation and how we can bring data into the Experience platform. But we know that we're not the only one out there. And because of the Open Data Initiative, we are embracing other vendors and other companies or you directly to push your own data in the data lake. That's going to be the IT-focused platforms. So these are platforms where there's a heavy focus on ETL processes. You can use Informatica, you can use Unify to mine the data, to extract knowledge or to extract raw data from your systems and to bring this data in, ingest data into the data lake of Azure. So that's the second thing that you can use, second way for you to use in order to bring data in. Adobe Launch is our tag management and activation solution that you can use and deploy on your digital properties to actually collect data and route data into the Adobe Experience platform. And the fourth one, most importantly, is all the solutions of Microsoft. And one in particular that sparks our interest is the Microsoft Dynamics 365, because it has a rich set of data, CRM data, but also engagement data from different other parts of the company. So we want this data to be part of that pool of data into the data lake, because we understand that this is the kind of data that we need to enhance the customer experience in real time. So think of all these 4 different ways to ship data and to ingest data directly into the Experience platform using the stack that is the Microsoft Azure. All right, so now we have data in. Let's move to semantics and control. Now that we have a lot of data in, we need to structure this data. And the end goal here is to build what we call the unified profile. The unified profile of our consumers, of Melissa, who she is, all the interactions that she had with you, the brand, and what exactly we are supposed to tell her the next time she shows up on one of our digital properties or even offline properties. So the whole process is to bring this data in, have some semantics and control, and organize this data in a manner that we can all understand beyond Adobe since Monday with the announcement of the Open Data Initiative, in that not only we're going to create some semantics and control on this data, but that XDM feed is going to be linked to a CDM feed, or it can be connected to another way that SAP structures their own data for us to better share in real time this data, or at least to have a common understanding of what a CDM and XDM and other vendors can bring to the table. So that's the second one. And again, I'm going to show you a live demo of how we can ingest data in an XDM format, but that's going to be interesting to follow up in the coming weeks on how we can not only ingest this data in XDM, which is our extensible data model, experience data model, but how we can bridge that with CDM and other data models. So now that we have data in, we can structure this data. Let me show you 2 examples of 2 schemas that we have in XDM on how to represent the different behavior data of our consumers. I'm going to talk about, the first one is the experience event. An experience event is a schema of XDM that represents every behavioral data of a consumer on any property. It can be on the website, it can be on a mobile device, it can be on the fact that she clicked on an email, she opened, she interacted with us. So all this behavioral data is stored in a schema that we call experience event. So here's an example of experience event, and don't worry about it. We're going to give you the slides, but I'm just going to highlight some of the elements here, and I'm going to do a demo that we're going to see this in live. So in this XDM, so you can clearly, you can see that it says XDM context experience event. So this is the kind of schema that we're using here. There's the identity part, which is really important in that not only she went on the website, but what do we know from her? At that moment in time, we have an ID, a common ID that we call the Experience Cloud ID, the Experience ID that we have here that is part of the identities. But at this moment in time, if you have your own ID, great, we're going to ship that same ID within the Experience Event payload that will be sent to the data lake of Azure. So everything that you know from her can be shipped here within the experience event. Another example is details about her browser, details about exactly what page or screen she was looking at, everything that you think is relevant to nurture that experience event data ingestion, part of the data platform. So another example is a profile. So just by the way, an experience event is completely anonymous. There's no PII. There's no Melissa last name, email address. It's just a behavior based on an ID. However, when she opens an account or she logs into her account, we saw her on a mobile app, she bought something. She bought a one-night trip. Therefore, in addition to sending an experience event to the data lake, all the way to the unified profile, we're going to create a profile schema. And this profile schema actually potentially includes PII. And in this case, it's going to be first name, last name, anything that represents a person. So this could be heavy on PII, but this is exactly the kind of information that we want to isolate and put into the profile schema, because this is how much we want to know from her and what she agreed on sharing with the brand that we need to create in a profile schema that we're going to ship to the Experience Cloud platform. So these are two examples of schemas that we have. So the thing is, it is very important to label all these different schemas and the fragments of everything that you put in your schemas, whether it's in CDM or in XDM. In XDM, we do have a UI for you to tag those fragments or the entire table to say, we have to be careful. There's PII here being ingested. So we have to potentially tag this information as PII, so we don't have, we cannot merge that information with other data that she was not willing to give us, or with data that was bought by third-party data that we're not allowed by the law to merge with any PII. So you have to make sure that not only you are collecting data, first, second, third-party data, but you have to go through this process of labeling this data within your XDM. Why? This is a policy framework. If you're in healthcare or in other industries where there's some laws and some requirements that you have to deal with, then this is a great opportunity to tag the data in a way that it is safe, secure, and we're only sharing information that we can share. So then, once we have data, we have the structure of this data, then obviously, and it's been the talk of the whole week, is really to extract insight. And that's going to be a chance for us to use machine learning in an environment, in a Databricks from Azure, or in the data science workspace that we have within Adobe. So this is an environment where you can explore data, you can author your AI and machine learning recipes, and you can train them against data, sample data, and then you can deploy those recipes on your own data set and in real time using what we call the unified edge. And this is another capability that Microsoft has with Azure, in that we can propagate data into an edge that the stack provides. All right, data in, structure, now we can extract knowledge, and now it's time for action. Now I want to inform Melissa that she has a great offer, and I'm going to display that at the room in her beautiful screen, or because she is on the go, then I'm going to send a push notification. Here, the sky's the limit, and this is your processes. These are all your business processes of how you want to engage with your consumers. But the most important part is to take action in real time or not, but based on fresh data, and that's the whole point of the Experience Cloud platform. These are some of the solutions that we have. I'm not going to pitch every one of them. I'm going to probably skip that part and show you this in action with a demo. All right? So let's move to demo. So the first one that I have is this one. All right. So I use this website to do demos. So I'm using a fictitious company that we call WeRetail. So it doesn't exist. Don't go to weretail.com. It doesn't exist. So this company is a retail one, but it could be anything else. And in this case, they sell outdoor gear. Great. They have here an offer, which is all about the coldest winter on Earth, which I'm not looking forward to. I live in New England, by the way. So these are all product recommendations. Great. And they have different themes or different universe of products. Great. So the only thing that we added on this website is this Adobe Experience Cloud X-Ray. So this is a widget that you won't have on your own property, but it's a way for me to demonstrate what's going on behind the scenes and how the Experience Cloud is actually performing in real time every time I do something on the website. So if I expand this view, you will have all the solutions that you just named. Adobe Target, Adobe Audience Manager, which is our DMP, Adobe Analytics. So all these different solutions. And obviously you have the Adobe Cloud platform that we're going to see in action in a second. But here, I really wanted to extend this demo with the Microsoft stack. And the best scenario for me to show you how we can collaborate together is to show you what's going on and how we can share data in real time directly with Microsoft Dynamics. So right now, if I extend or expand this node, well, there's not much going on. This is the first time that I'm on the website. We don't know much about this visitor. This is the first hit. Therefore, there's not much going on at Microsoft Dynamics because this person right now is completely anonymous. But once I know who this person is, then maybe there's a link that I need to produce with or to inform Microsoft Dynamics. So for now, if I extend Target, so this is the default experience that anyone can have or can visualize if they go on the website, which is built for the coldest winter on Earth. That's going to be the offer for anyone to look at, is the default offer. So here on the Audience Manager, there's not much going on for now, but that's going to change. And in Analytics, well, obviously, Analytics will say that I'm on the home page. Great, I knew that. And on the Experience Cloud platform, if I extend that, then we have three things. The Experience Data Model, those are the XDM, and the experience events and profiles that I showed you before on slides. We're going to see that in action right now in the demo. So for now, I landed, or I should say, this person landed on the website, so we're going to generate an experience event. In this experience event, we're going to say, yep, this person is on the homepage, latitude, longitude, why not? And we are going to assign to this person on this device, on this browser, an Experience Cloud ID. This is our own ID. If it works perfectly, because you only have to deploy it once, and it's going to be there the whole time. But this is a chance for you to say, if you have any sort of ID that you want to put there on the website in addition to the Experience Cloud ID, perfect. Deploy it with Adobe Launch, and it's going to be part of the payload of the experience event that we're going to get shipped into the Experience Cloud platform, sorry. So here, and this is a chance to create that profile. Right now, we don't know much about this person, so we only have an ID, which is the Experience Cloud ID. All right, so what we're going to do right now is go to the equipment page. So this is a first visit, so that's going to be a hit on the website. And let's say that this person is interested in hiking. So this person is going to click on hiking. Great, a new page, a new hit on the website, a new experience event being loaded and shipped to the platform. And here you have a bunch of product recommendations. Great. If we go back on the home site, on the home page, ta-da, the home page changed. Why? We've changed the offer in real time to say, oh, we have someone who is interested in hiking. Therefore, we're going to change that offer, and that was done by Adobe Target, that now sends that the right offer for this person is no longer the cold weather, it is hiking. So focus on hiking. Why did we do that? Because the DMP, Audience Manager, has collected, oh, sorry, I should use the mouse, has collected, let's see, hello, all right, has collected a segment, or I should say a business trait that we automatically in real time positioned to this person. And this is completely random because this is my choice of how I implemented this on the website. But in your case, it could be if they went on the hiking page 3 times within an hour, then this is where you would create a business trait. But in my case, as soon as you hit the hiking page, I'm going to create a business rule that says interest is hiking. Therefore, because we've done that in real time in the DMP, then Target is constantly listening to those traits. And based on the fact that this person is interested in hiking, then we're going to change the offer. In the meantime, what we've collected is in the unified profile, now I know a little bit more about this person. Not only I have the Experience Cloud ID that we saw, but we have also authenticated is still none, but we have a business trait hiking. So as we go along, we're going to create those experience events that we're going to ship to the platform, and we're going to create a unified profile. And in this case, we know that this person is interested in hiking. So let's continue here and go back to the equipment, and this time click on surfing. Well, that's going to be the exact same thing, in that if the person goes back on the home site, then we're going to say, well, they have a new interest. This time it's surfing, and therefore we're going to change the experience. We're going to inform target in real time to change the experience, and this time it's going to be all about surf. And same thing here. That's going to be enriching the unified profile with a new interest, and in this case, is going to be surfing. All right, still anonymous. So now what we can do is scroll down, and let's say that this person is interested in, let's say, this jacket. This person looks at this jacket, puts the jacket in the cart, great, and the person is going to log to their account. So let's say that we're going to create a new account. Let's make it easy and straightforward. Let's say that this person is called Sarah Rose, her email, password, and she's going to sign up, and we're going to thank her. What happened behind the scenes is that in addition to experience event payloads that we're shipping directly into the platform, we use the other schema that I told you about as the profile, because now we have an identity. Now we have a person. We have a first name, last name, email, a phone number, so we can create another payload, a profile payload, and ship that directly into the data lake. Therefore, what we can do is enhance our understanding of this customer, and if we click on the unified profile, well, now authentication is yes, but we have an identity, we have an email and mobile, and guess what happened here? We have a Microsoft CRM ID. Why? Because we share that information directly into Microsoft Dynamics 365, and I'm going to go to Microsoft Dynamics 365 and show you that we are actually sharing that information in real time. Before I do that, we can actually log into her email. This is an opportunity for us, or this brand we retail, to engage with her. She logged into her account, therefore we can trigger a communication saying, hey, hello, we sent an email. But that's going to be up to you. But just here to prove the point that as long as we have an identity because she logged in, we have an email, then we can use this email to extend the way we engage with her. If I log into Microsoft Dynamics 365, there, let's go to contact records and look for her, Sarah. We have a new record here. And not only we're going to share that information with Microsoft Dynamics 365, but here, see the qualifying segments? These are the segments that we created within the Experience Cloud, within the Experience Platform, and we automatically shipped through Experience events into the data lake, into the unified profile, but also share that information all the way to Dynamics 365. So if we go back to the website, and let's say that, well, she is interested, and therefore she's going to go back on her cart, and she's going to check out. Okay, place the order. Boom, she just bought something. And therefore, well, obviously, as she is now authenticated, that's fine. Experience event, there you go. Page visit, checkout, complete, event, conversion, purchase. So that's the kind of event that we want to send there, and that's going to be the same here. If we go back in the email, this is an opportunity to thank her because she bought this jacket. But if I go back to Microsoft Dynamics 365 and I refresh, and then I can refresh the qualifying segments, and we can see that she added something in her cart, she purchased, and you can imagine the rest of the story. So here the story is to say, we had no idea who this person is. Then we're going to qualify who this person is. We're going to, based on this process, create experience events and profile data directly created within the Experience Platform, push that data and ingest this data into the Azure Data Lake that is used by the Experience Cloud, and we're going to constantly use and create that unified profile that ultimately can be shared within the Open Data Initiative. And here I'm just showing you an example of how this looks like here in this example. All right, so this is the first demo and how we can actually make sure that all these solutions of the Experience Cloud can collaborate all together to create that beautiful, personalized, and real-time experience, but in the background, ingest data in a format that is comprehensive, that is clear, that is consistent, that we call XDM, Experience Data Model. But that is an opportunity for us to structure data coming from different angles, but also your own data in a common data model, but also to share that information along the way, and in this case, with other solutions, such as Dynamic 365. So let me show you another example of how things can go. So I talked a lot about XDM. So this is the exact same website. And let me open, this is a call debugger. That is Charles. Are you all familiar with Charles? A little bit? Show of hands. All right, it's easy. So Charles, every time there's a hit on a website or my computer, I'm going to monitor those calls so I know exactly what's going on, who is calling what. And here, if I refresh the page, my home page, then there's a call that is being made to the Experience Cloud platform. And this call is actually hitting Adobe. But part of this call is the exact same data that I told you about, is the experience event. So every time someone goes on a website or even a screen on my mobile device or any other property that you manage, if you have the Experience Cloud platform, then you can ingest whatever consumers are doing on the website through here an experience event. So this is actually happening live as we speak right now. So what I can do is, if I keep going, I go to the equipment. Therefore, here I generate a new payload, is the equipment. If I go to surfing, I'm going to generate a new one, it's going to be surfing. So this is actually happening in real time, and we're using the streaming capability of Microsoft Azure to automatically, in real time, ingest data and feeding the unified profile of whoever is actually in front of the screen. What I can do here is log into an account. If I go to login, obviously this is a new page, so same thing here. We're going to extract that knowledge and push that information in. What I can do is create an account, and I can say my name is Matthew, news at adobe.com, password, anything actually, sign up. And here, not only I have an experience event because I was on the sign up page, but because I authenticated myself, well, this is a great chance for me to create a profile schema. And in this profile, then you have my email, you have my first name, last name. And this is part of the identity, because this is how internally you're going to use as an ID that you're going to use to match the different records that you have. It's an email here, but it can be anything. In this case, it can be the email or the Experience Cloud ID that I told you about. But this is, again, a chance for you to say, if you have any kind of ID, then this is your opportunity to ship those IDs, part of the identity fragments of those schemas. So here's an example of a website. So let's clear that and bring the mobile app. So that's going to be pretty much the exact same thing. So here I have a mobile app for retail, and that's going to be the same thing. So if I click on Explore All Products, well, the app is going to list all the different products that I have. Boom, it's going to happen in a few seconds. It's a bit slow. There you go. So I'm going to fetch a list of all these different products, but see here, there was a call directly into the platform. That's going to be the exact same thing, and we're going to generate an experience event. So here, there's no really difference between an experience event coming from a mobile app or a desktop Well, actually, I'm cheating a little bit because you have some labels here that will say what kind of operating system, whether it's a browser or a mobile app. But the structure is going to be the same. It's going to be an experience event. So that's going to be very interesting because you are pulling data from different angles and different areas, but you're feeding the exact same lake all the way to the unified profile with the exact same schema, which is an experience event. And I can keep going. If I browse this shoe, this pair of shoes, that's going to be the exact same thing. An experience event, and I'm on an iPhone 6. Yep, that's accurate. And that's going to be hiking, mountain bike shoes, which is exactly what I see here. So that's the point of having experience event happening at different screens and different venues to automatically ingest this data, whether I'm using a mobile app or a desktop browser. Now, let me open the Experience Cloud so we understand exactly what happened from a user perspective and to tell you how we are actually structuring this data. So as I open the Experience Cloud, let me just do this. There you go. So this is the homepage of the Experience Cloud. All right, so this is the homepage of the Experience Cloud. In this interface, this UI of the Experience Cloud, you have easy key shortcuts to the main capabilities of the data platform, of the cloud platform, the Experience platform. You can access your data, the data model, data science, but also all the different solutions that you mentioned that will be used to act against the data or upon the data. So in this case, if I click on data, these are all what we call data sets, contracts on how we can ingest data from different venues. I have data coming from analytics. So this is a solution that we have that you can deploy on your digital properties, on the website, or even on the mobile device to track the behavior of your consumers. It's a web and mobile analytics solution that will just do that. But while Adobe Analytics is doing that, we are actually pushing that same information all the way to the data lake and all the way to creating a unified profile. So this is one way of ingesting data. The second one, the third one here is this list, is the profile management. That could be directly from a CRM. That could be a Unify or another ETL solution that you can use to extract data from a CRM from a different database and have that data being ingested directly into the data lake and feeding unified profile using the profile schema. Or it can be bookings and transactions, and that could come directly from another system. And in this case, it is coming from Microsoft Dynamics. You can have data coming from a point of sale, loyalty. I think you got the point here, is that you can create all these data sets as a contract to how you can ingest data from different venues. And you can, at any time, create a new data set, and you can say, well, I want to ingest data from a file. That could be a Tableau file, or it can be a schema. I'm going to map towards a schema that could be an experience event, a profile, or the other tables that we have within XDM, or it can be a direct link with Microsoft Dynamics, Salesforce, or any other solution that we have here that could be used. So here, let's cancel that and open one of them. So if I click on the profile management data set, then in this screen, you're going to see all the different batch loads that I had that happened on this data set. So every once in a while, and in my case it's going to be every hour, I'm going to ingest data in batch. So that's a business reason. However, I can do it in real time, but that's going to be a different route using the Microsoft Azure while I'm going to be using the streaming capabilities or the streaming service. Whether you do batch or streaming, that's going to feed not only a data set, but we're going to process that information and try to put that information in a structure that we do understand, XDMs. And again, we're going to have that information go directly hit the unified profile. So that schema here, because we're using the profile, you have a direct access to what the schema looks like. This is the out-of-the-box schema, but at any time you can customize it or you can extend it. This is read your call, and we believe that you're going to do it because your data is different, and if we don't have a fragment that is actually represented in the profile schema, then you can just extend it. And if you're a partner, you can extend the schemas and you can sell that service, this package, to say, this is how we view the world for the travel world or the healthcare world. So we created a set of schemas or tables or extensions that we think will hit major challenges in the healthcare industry. So you can do pretty much anything you want there, but it has to be mapped within an XDM. And part of the Open Data Initiative, this is the goal of saying we're going to share that with Microsoft, with the way Microsoft and SAP structure their own data, so you can have an easy and real-time access to your own data. And the end goal is to act on this data in real time. So this is the schema. But here, if I click on data governance, this is a very important one. Remember, we are ingesting a massive amount of data, whether we're using experience events or profiles or any of the other tables that I haven't even talked about. But you have to be extremely careful in labeling this data to make sure that maybe there's sensitive data that you want to tag in a way that people cannot see them. Not every user within the enterprise can see PII. So you have to make sure to teach the Experience Cloud platform that this data, this specific data, is actually protected or sensitive. So if I scroll here and I see all the different fragments that I have within my profile table, identities here, this looks like PII. So I'm going to click here. And in this case, what I can do is, oh, my mouse doesn't work anymore. If I click on person, then this is where I would say, because I'm looking at a person fragment, this is actually PII. In the person fragment of a profile, I have email, I have first name, last name, anything that is really sensitive. So what I can do is, as a data analyst, I can tag this data, the fact that it is identifiable data and is actually a sensitive data. And what I can do is save this, and every time we have a new batch of data being ingested in batch or in real time, well, that's going to be labeled sensitive or private data, protected data, so not anyone within the enterprise can see this data. So this is how we would do it. So here the end goal is to say, well, now that we have this data, let's act on this data in one of the solutions. So let's say that I want to run campaign management. So therefore, I don't know who said that, but there's a solution for that in the Experience platform that is called Adobe Campaign. So now that I've used the platform to ingest this massive amount of data, well, I'm going to act on it. And therefore, I'm going to use Adobe Campaign as the campaign solution. And from here, I can create email campaigns, text messages campaigns, push notification, in-app, direct mail, all the above, or combine them in a workflow, in a journey. So what I can do before I activate those channels, I really want to create an audience. But this audience doesn't live in Campaign. It lives within the Experience Cloud platform, in the data lake, in the unified profile. So what I can do is click on audiences, and what I can do here is create a new audience. And what you see here on the screen is the Experience Cloud platform segmentation service that is shared. This service is a common service that any of the Adobe solutions can use to do segmentation. But in the background, we are querying against data that we have in the unified profile, again, represented through XDMs. So what I want to do is to say, well, I would love to create an audience of anyone who is interested in surfing gear, who has an app, and who didn't buy much for the last year. So in order for me to do that, I can browse, I can explore the data from different schemas of my XDM. In this case, I have profile and experience events. What I can do is to say page name, let's say, we're going to keep it really simple. Page name, anything that was labeled surf, and application name, all these people who have the retail app, okay, great, and who haven't bought anything. So for that, I'm not querying against the profile table, but I'm going to query against the experience event table. And I'm going to say commerce, purchase here, and I'm going to say does not exist. And while I do that, now I have an estimate of 740K people, consumers, in the unified profile that match this description, who had an interest in surfing gear. They have an app, they downloaded my app, the resale app, and they haven't bought anything from me. Great, so this is what I want to do. So what I can do is create here an audience, surf interest. I'm going to give it a name. Done here, and create this audience. Now I have this audience ready to be processed, be used in different kinds of engagement that I can do, that I can orchestrate directly within Campaign. So now that I have my audience, what I can do is go back to the homepage of Adobe Campaign and create an email campaign. This is a simple email blast, but again, you can put that email in perspective with other channels that you can sequence. But for now, we're just going to go for a one-time only email. If I click on Create Email, I can choose from different templates that I have. I'm going to pick this one, the Retail template, and I'm going to click on Next. I'm going to give it a friendly name. Yeah, that's fine. Click on Next, and this is where I can choose the audience that I want to pick from. And obviously, we're going to pick the audience that we just created together, the surf interest. Once I do that, I click on Next, and this is where, as an email marketer, I can create and draft a beautiful email story that will highlight any interest in gear. And this is where the sky's the limit in terms of business. This is your own use case and how you can tell that story from an email perspective. So you can create those emails without coding because it's all drag and drop, great. But here we have what we call the content SDK directly coming from the Experience Cloud platform, in that if I want to change an image here, what I can do is get rid of the image, but here select an image that will resonate a little bit more with my surf audience. So this content is actually part of the Experience Cloud platform, in that we've seen the data, how we can ingest data and structure the data through XDM, but that's going to be the exact same thing content-wise, in that if I create content coming from the Creative Cloud, I can have that same content being stored and managed in the Experience Cloud platform for any solution within the Experience Cloud to just use this asset. And in my case, within Adobe Campaign, I'm running an email campaign that I'm just picking that asset directly coming from the platform. Once I'm done, I can preview this email. It looks great on desktop. It looks great on mobile. I'm ready to go. I can send it out. The last thing that I want to show you here for the demo is the ability to actually create journeys. So we've seen that I've created an email. That was just a one-shot email. But what if we want to sequence a series of different touch points based on the consumer event? So it's not us anymore, brand managers, who are leading the conversation saying, hey, today, this is the email going out because I have a newsletter or because I have this product that I want to sell. No, it's them telling you they are around the property, or they went on the website, or they called you. So that's the consumer-triggered event that you can capture in this workflow. And in this case, we can say, if any of these people who had an interest in surfing gear, they have their mobile device, and they are around the corner from one of the retail store, well, that's a fantastic opportunity to send them a push notification. So here what I have is I have an event. And this event is actually monitored by a store beacon. Then if I know that they are around the mall or the property, then I can automatically send them a push notification saying, hey, welcome back to the store, or hey, you were looking for surf gear on the website or on the mobile app. Well, you didn't buy anything. Well, we have them in the store. Again, this is your own story and how you want to relate to them in real time based on their own consumer events. It's not about us. It's about how they want to be treated and how they want to be engaged with. And this is an opportunity for you to tell that story in real time based on their consumer behavior. All right, so let me go back to slides. Those were like 3 different demos. The first one is really to show you how all these solutions are playing together through a common data model that will feed ingest data directly into the Experience Cloud platform. The second demo was really to show you through a live demo how we can actually create those experience events and profile events to feed and to ingest data directly into the Experience platform, whether I'm on the website or whether I'm using the app. And the third one was really showing you the UI of the Experience Cloud platform itself, showing you how you can ingest data with datasets and how you can actually do segmentation through the unified profile, extract knowledge, and start to engage with the consumers, whether it's from your end, you're telling that story, we call them marketing-led journeys, or if from their end, because something happened. It is triggered by the consumer. So going back to the Open Data Initiative, so on Monday on stage, 3 great brands were sharing the stage, Adobe, Microsoft, and SAP. And here the commitment and the announcement is to say, we need to do a better job in figuring out how we can store data, but actually create semantics and control around this data. So we have our own XDM, Microsoft has CDM. We want to align. We want to make sure that every time we're using XDM, it means something for CDM, and extend that to SAP and even to other companies. So we are making a commitment to say we're going to launch this initiative where we're going to have a common understanding on how this data has to be structured, has to be defined, is going to go beyond Adobe to include Microsoft and SAP. And it's also an invitation to other vendors or other companies that will do the same thing, because we know that you work with other companies and not one of these 3, and you want to structure their own data, your own data, using your own ecosystem. So this is a promise to get richer and quicker access to your own data, but the end goal is here to always extract insight, whether it's you know exactly what you're looking for, you're going to explore the data, or you're using machine learning and AI to extract those scores and to run experiments and run these scores against your data. But ultimately the goal, that I keep repeating myself, is to engage with your consumers and delight them in real time. All right, so that was the end of my presentation. We still have 7 minutes, so we can open it for questions. We've been very busy this week on the Adobe booth, so we still have at 4 p.m., we have great demos on the Experience Cloud, and there's a specific demo that we have on how the Experience Cloud, in addition to Microsoft, can serve one particular vertical, and it's going to be retail. If you miss all the other demos or presentations, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to follow up with you. For now, please evaluate this session. We want to make sure that we are actually addressing your challenges, and it's a way for me to get feedback to get better next year when I come back. All right, so thank you so much, and we're going to open it to questions if you have that. Microphone?
Can you hear me or something?
Yeah, microphones, because it's being aired and recorded.
For transparency, I do work for Adobe IT, and I'm trying to understand the roadmap and the intent here. Mm-hmm. And one question I've got is related to other vendors that might want to contribute or leverage the ODI standard.
Yes.
It sounded like what you were saying is it's extensible, but there's obviously a common set of data objects that are already there. And the question I've got is it really the case that that will get exposed by Microsoft, Adobe, and SAP, and vendors will be able to create connectors between their own data model and the standard? Mm-hmm. So that's the first point, but is the longer term vision that those vendors would adopt the standard data model within their products potentially?
Yes. I cannot speak for Microsoft and SAP. What I can tell you from the Adobe perspective is that we started creating this data model that is common, that we call the experience, the XDM. So the XDM is completely open. Anyone can use, it's on GitHub. Everyone can access the XDM. All the different tables have XDM. And the purpose is to say, we think that we got it all with XDM, but maybe not. Right. That's fine. So you can extend the XDM with your own fragments within these schemas that we provide. So this is the value, because whether you're retail, transportation, travel, I'm sure you have some set of data that will probably not translate into what we build in XDM. And this is the opportunity to say, that's fine. We're open, we're transparent. Please extend those, and it's going to be working the exact same way within the Experience Cloud platform. So that's us, Adobe. Now with the Open Data Initiative, we're expanding this definition to say, this is our understanding, and there's a commitment from Microsoft and SAP to do the exact same thing, but because there's XDM for Adobe, CDM for Microsoft, let's also have a common framework to align these data models so that we all can share and represent the data in the same way.
Okay, and one final question from me. How is it governed? Like, who determines, like, if you've got a specific industry, you know, is the governance of the data model through the community, or is it through, you know, an industry standard body, or how does that?
Yeah, the governance is up to the business. However, it's up to us, Adobe, for example, to give you guidance on how you can label this data. But out of the box, nothing is labeled. Out of the box, you have schemas, and you have ways to actually tag your own data to say sensitive, not sensitive, contractual, not contractual. That is up to you and how much data you want to put there, and how do you perceive this data being sensitive or not. But that common framework to actually label and to control this data is actually part of XDM. And I would believe that this concept will also be expanded to also include data coming from Microsoft and SAP and other companies that will join the initiative. Okay?
Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful afternoon, and see you at Universal Studio. Thank you.